In the months that followed their wedding, Alistair and Honora proved themselves a surprisingly effective pair. Alistair spent a great deal of time at court, showing willingness to learn the art of governing from Honora and often deferring to her judgment, and no one was more surprised by this than Honora herself. The two of them made numerous outings into Denerim and the other settlements in Ferelden, supervising the reconstruction process and greeting their subjects personally, much to the commoners' enthusiastic approval. Many said the chaos of the Civil War and Landsmeet were worth it for delivering such beloved monarchs. Rumors that the Urn of Sacred Ashes had been found, and that it was used to heal Arl Eamon for his poisoning, circulated in Ferelden in the months following the Darkspawn defeat, slowly at first, and then with growing frequency as the Grand Cleric failed to deny them. Once the Chantry made several attempts to verify the rumors, however, there came an official decree that no resting place for the ashes had been found. If the Urn of Sacred Ashes was in those ruins once, it was no longer. Following months of effort, the Tower of the Circle of Magi was finally cleansed of the last spirits to slip through the veil. No further abominations were created, and First Enchanter Irving was pleased to declare the circle safe. All that could be saved had been. With the slavers shut down in the alienage, the lot of the city-born elves improved for a time. The new king even named a local elder to his personal court, a scandal amongst the humans, but a sign of new hope to the elves. Shiani continued to be an outspoken member of the alienage community, and in time became the new elder. That outspokenness earned her frequent trouble, but served her people well. Arl Eamon returned to Redcliffe, beginning the long task of rebuilding. He found the village already bustling and eager to leave behind the memories of those terrible nights facing the undead. Connor was sent off to study at the Circle. Well, before, that was a contradiction, though, because he said he's staying in Denerim, he's not coming back to Redcliffe, and his brother Tegan's going to take over, but whatever. We'll say maybe he just returned to Redcliffe once, and the city looked great, and that was cool. Connor was sent off to study at the Circle, and considering his early experiences, he excelled in his training and easily passed the harrowing to become a full mage. At his father's urging, Connor accepted a position in Tevinter to undertake formal study of the Fade. The young woman, Caitlin, eventually made it to Denerim safely and used the small fortune she received for her father's sword to open a foundry while the city rebuilt. The foundry did well, turning her into a wealthy and respected woman. By chance, she met Tegan again at court, and within months, the two of them married. The Dalish elves prospered after the siege at Denerim, having earned much respect for their part in the battle. Oh, bro, they fucking won the whole battle with their fucking bows and arrows? Fuck. That was crazy. For once, human lands welcomed the wandering folk. The new keeper, Lanaya, was respected both amongst the Dalish as well as in the Ferelden court. She was a voice of reason, and other Dalish clans would turn to her for help resolving disputes with human folk. In time, many of the Dalish clans moved to the new land provided for them in the south near Ostagar. Wary of their human neighbors, however, tensions soon rose again, and only keeper Lanaya's leadership kept peace alive. In Orzammar, King Balin quickly proved himself a reformer. Trade with the surface lands increased and caste restrictions were loosened. The casteless were permitted to take arms against the Darkspawn in exchange for new freedoms. For the first time in generations, the line in the Deep Roads was pushed back, and a few tithes were reclaimed. Balin's reforms quickly found him enemies within the warrior and noble castes, however, and after several assassination attempts, the assembly was dissolved. The king then ruled alone, some said as a tyrant, others said as a visionary determined to drag Orzammar into the modern world. And my headcanon is that my character went back to Orzammar to actually help Balin, because, you know, they kind of have an understanding, and he does believe that his brother, despite everything that happened, is the best leader for Orzammar, so he's supporting his brother. When the first human armies arrived from Ferelden, King Balin welcomed them with open arms. Within months, the Darkspawn were driven back as far as the Dead Trenches, and the first dwarven warrior to return with a relic retaken from the gates of Bonamar was greeted by cheering, jubilant crowds. The assembly unanimously declared Aaron a living paragon. Following months of deliberation, a new statue was erected in the Commons, and a new house founded in the paragon's name, quickly drawing a great number of followers from every caste. The dwarven mage, Dagna, ultimately completed her studies at the rebuilt Circle Tower on the surface. Eventually, she published a comprehensive theory of how lyrium vapors relate to the supply of magic. It gained a great deal of attention. This inspired mages from other parts of Thedas to establish a new circle of magi in Orzammar itself, one that had ready access to dwarven lyrium. Yeah, that makes sense. and lies outside the Chantry's power completely. The willingness of Orzammar to harbor apostates sparked outrage that began whispers that the Divine was contemplating a new exalted march. Oof. It was not long before Branka mastered Caridin's technique, learning how to use the Anvil of the Void to create new golems, the first in many centuries. The Dwarven people greeted this news with cheers, though few knew of the cost. At first, King Balin worked eagerly with Branka to provide subjects, willing or not, so that the golems could push the Darkspawn back. This arrangement was not to last, however. Before long, Branka began to refuse to create golems only for the king, who soon banned use of the anvil. His men attacked Branka's fortress in the Deep Roads, forcing her to shut it tight. Years into the siege, Balin was forced to relent. The fortress, guarded by Branka's golems, remained impenetrable. And it's interesting. As good as her word, Morrigan disappeared once the archdemon was slain. Someone of Morrigan's description was seen traveling alone months later, heading west through the Frostback Mountains, and she may even have been with child. There was no word of her after that. Flemis Huth in the Kakari Wilds was likewise abandoned. One cannot help but wonder, where did they go? What were their plans? What became of the child? These questions must remain a mystery for now. Both Aaron and the companions who helped defeat the Blight eventually scattered to the four winds, drawn either by personal duty or the call to further adventure. Circumstance dictated that they would not see each other again, at least for a time. As the Blighted Lands began to heal and the Grey Warden slowly rebuilt the Order in Amaranthine, they discovered that the fight against the Darkspawn was not yet complete. Although the Horde was rooted and had dissolved upon the Archdemon's death, many of the more powerful Darkspawn survived to organize roving warbands that preyed both upon the land and upon each other. These warbands spread havoc, and some even journeyed west into Orlais across the Shining Sea by the deep roads. They proved incredibly difficult to wipe out. But these are tales yet to be told. This tale ended when Aaron sank his blade in the Archdemon's head and destroyed it forever. It was not the last that Ferelden would hear of him, however. And that's it. And we got the credits. Nice. That was great to come back. You know, because I'm trying to do a whole run of the series. I'm not done with Origins quite yet. I got a few DLCs, including Awakening, which is a pretty long, fairly long expansion to the main game. What I just read is what they're alluding to. So it should be fun. Awakening is definitely one of my favorite DLCs in probably all of video game history, if I'm going to be honest. It's really, really, really good. So yeah, it was great. Definitely the most fun playthrough I've had so far. And, well, it's not over because I'm going to do Awakening probably as part of the Dragon Age Origins playthrough, because it's not a separate game. It's still the same game. It's just kind of like an epilogue. You know, gives you some more story after the final battle. So, yeah, it'll be cool. Stay tuned.